Đây là cái ly của mình là 16 đồng, 17 đồng. 17 đồng cho một cái ly nước, nhưng mà ly nước ngọt thôi. Nhưng mà bù lại là nó là gọi là nó refill được. Nghĩa là những cái fountain drink, những cái máy xung quanh á thì á, là mình refill được cái ly này. Còn chỗ này là cái nơi nhận kiến, tại vì trong cái quá trình mình đi tour nó sẽ có những cái 3D.
Make sure she gets on my tour. I will, man.
World famous Universal Studios tour. Hi, I'm Alicia. In just a few minutes, you're going to board our tram.
Nó sẽ có lên train rồi những cái xe vậy đó. Rồi bây giờ là lên tàu. Mình lên mình đã không cần xếp hàng luôn. Ngày xưa mình phải xếp hàng dưới đây. Oopsie. Sao sáng như có nhiều người té vậy? Đây đi. Ở đây là khi mà có kiến nó sẽ kêu. Không, bình thường có nhiều cái đâu được, đâu có 3D chi. Chim miền Tây.
You got the very best guy, Patrick, and the greatest driver, Ryan. They're the best. I love them. Even though Patrick owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
Not sure about all those about that $5, but you are correct, Jimmy. We do have a few more safety rules to go before we continue on with the tour. First, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something valuable off the side of the tram or have any sound or video issues, reach up and grab the radio cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated and keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Studio is private property. At any time during the tour, you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord or remain seated. Please don't smoke of any kind during the tour. Now be prepared. Our tour today features loud noises, sudden train movements, fire effects, and many water effects. So you want to have your cameras ready. It's great little opportunities. Keep your eyes open so they don't get better or lost. While you're safety and the safety of those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while you were on board. Okay, Ryan, I think we're done with the rules and regulations. We can head on off into the heart of our studio. Some of Hollywood's biggest names come to work every single day. And the road that we're taking to get there, we here in the biz refer to as timeline. Why? Because if you look to your left and your right, you're going to notice these movie posters here, which represent just a fraction of the thousands of films we have made here at Universal over the years. From our classic Universal monster movies like Dracula,
những lịch sử phim của 1931 là Frankenstein, 1932 là Thợ Lúc Mùng Mì. Những cái phim rất là kinh điển của Universal.
The Back to the Future series, the Jurassic Park
Universal
series,
là
and
hãng
of
phim
course,
nha, thì nó này cái này có khu vui chơi cũng là của hãng phim đó luôn.
Fast 9 still in theaters now.
959 có Pillow Talk. Một cái từ Pillow Talk cũng dễ thương. Wow, say it.
More productions have been done down here in our lot than anywhere else on the planet. We've been making and facilitating projects here for over 106 years. It was on March 15th, 1915.
Tất cả những E.T. 1982. Nghĩa là tất cả những cái phim nổi tiếng. 1989 là hết nha. 1989. Bye.
And we're going to be exploring the two sections of our lot today. The back lot.
Tất cả nhân viên trong đây đều là diễn viên.
The back lot is where we film all the big stuff, the big exteriors, the outside stuff on a very grand scale. But to get there, we have to go through the front lot. Now the front lot, it contains mainly sound stages.
Apollo 13
nè,
tầm 1995.
Total on the entire lot. Filming mostly interiors, the insides of places, but we can't.
Đây là phim khu chiêm duy nhất 1999 American Pie.
In these magical places. The walls of these sound stages are 4 times the thickness of the walls.
2000.
And the sound stages.
Mình có làm thêm không ha?
Sound keeping most of the outside sound coming in. And if you want to know what they look like, they're very exciting. Take a look over here to your left. So they look like that.
Beautiful mind.
Mamma mia.
Big brown buildings.
Fast Furious.
Yeah,
2001 là phim đầu tiên.
That one is exciting. It is Soundstage 12, which is the largest soundstage in our front lot.
Phim công 205, phim công đầu tiên.
Frankenstein's laboratory in Dracula's castle, 1931 more classic built inside soundstage well, along with Scarface's mansion, Scarface.
Cái Family Guy, cái sách đấu sách nó cũng phát dạy luôn, không kinh xa là luôn ra. Ủa cái phim Pet là 2016 hả? Nó lâu dữ vậy hả ta? 2017 là Factory.
Soundstage 20, the first one we're going to pass. That is where CSI, the original CSI television show that took place in Vegas. Yeah, they didn't film that anywhere near Vegas. They filmed it here.
Đâu mà đâu được, mình mà mua vé VIP mình mới được vô mình. Mấy cái stage này đó nè, nó mới có mở cửa nhìn vô nè. Đây là đó là nó là cái phim trường, là một cái warehouse, là nó để chống cho mình vậy đó, để mình làm như mình làm, nó có cách âm cách đồ đó. Là khi mà các bạn phim mình ở trong đó thì là đó là vậy đó. Mình xét cái cảnh tất cả đều xây hết. Các bạn coi phim đó rồi.
Former home to Superstore starring American Ferrer and Ben Feldman. 17 to 16 are where we are now filming season 2 of the reboot of Saved by the Bell. Yes, Saved by the Bell. Streaming on Peacock.
Nó nói cái tên phim vậy đang phim mình không biết. Là có những phim Netflix như này.
In our front lot, the third soundstage coming up on your left-hand side. Next to this parking structure that has all the trailers and tents in front of it that make up base camp. For Saved by the Bell, this is where the wardrobe and dressing room and makeup trailers are. Whatever an actor says,
đây là cái phim chính luôn đó, những cái studio á, nó không xanh thì kiểu giống như là phim mấy cái phim mà dựng cảnh bối cảnh này nọ đó, hay cả những cái sitcom như bạn coi nó đều là ở đây luôn hả? Đúng rồi. American Got Talent là quay đây luôn, cái phim trường này luôn không? Cái này bự hơn nè, cái set này bự hơn.
Maybe a couple of weeks or so on average before they move on to other locations. Our sound stages are mostly used now year-round. NBC Universal, no stranger to television, we've been broadcasting for over 82 years. In that time, we created and broadcast some of the biggest and most popular television shows in history.
Có NBC Universal
shows that you're seeing on your screen right now, many more were filmed over in the sound stages on your right-hand side. These sound stages on your right-hand side during the 70s and part of the 80s were referred to as sitcom alley.
Cái này phim
Because
Sing nè.
these sound stages are at different strokes, silver spoons, one day at a time.
Tại vì phim Sing các bạn coi là phim hoạt hình nhưng mà nó vẫn có một cái studio để cho người thật đóng, để nó capture lại những cái hình ảnh, những cái motion của nhân vật, hiểu không? Đó, nên năm nay nó vẫn phải có cái studio chứ không phải là phim 3D là một ngồi dựng cho vi tính không liền.
One of two sound stages used by a fan favorite show that just wrapped its series after 4 years, Good Girls, which of course starred Retta, who played Donna Meagle in Parks and Recreation.
Cái khu này nó có những cái chỗ này để cho nhân viên.
From 44, our very first celebrity sighting of the day, folks, holding that very dirty martini. That is my Thunder Buddy for life, Ted, the star of Ted and Ted 2, who was standing in front of these production bungalows here on the left. The bungalows used to be dressing rooms for some of Hollywood's biggest names at the time: Rock Hudson, Jimmy Stewart, Lucille Ball, Doris Day, just to name a few.
Cái nhà mà quay phim sách á,
they're being used by writers, producers, directors, people who have development deals with NBC Universal. For example, bungalows 5180 and 5170 on your left-hand side. When we do, take a look at the size of the
VIP mới được vô coi.
They say reserved for $7 only. That is not the price you can reserve those parking spaces for. That means they're reserved for $7 per night.
Không, cái khu này là cái khu của nhân viên ở.
Belong to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because that is his production company.
Có nhân viên ở, hiểu không? Nhân viên.
Because Young Rock has been renewed for a season 2.
Ở trong khu này thì có nhân viên nữa, hay là kiểu của diễn viên. Nó giống khách sạn vậy.
Right next to the address. It is none other than the master of thrillers himself, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock, because that was his bungalow where he worked on Vertigo, The Birds, and the lovely little story of a boy and his mother.
Nhìn cái màn hình là
Next to the bungalows, you're going to see these modern buildings here. These are the production offices for two of our newer sound stages, 22 and 23, where currently Kenan Thompson, star of Saturday Night Live, films his new comedy, Kenan. He films the interiors of his house in the television station where he works on the show in inside the sound stages. He films the exteriors of those places in the back lot, which is where we are headed now. Remember, the back lot's where we film all the big stuff, the big exteriors, the outside stuff on a very grand scale. We're going to cross the intersection here. The first portion of our back lot is our New York metropolitan sets, favorites of filmmakers from around the world. They come from all over to film here. You'll see tram 07 in the street. We're going to be heading there in just a moment. But in the meantime, I want to hand things over to somebody who knows a little something about
phố giả của nó nha. Đây là cái phố giả.
My co-host is where he tapes the Tonight Show.
Coi nè, đó cái mặt trước vậy
What's going on, Jimmy?
Lỗ không?
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got
Dạ,
my
thành phố
start
New
right here in New York on Saturday Night Live.
Phía sau là vậy đó, sự giả dối chân thực.
Almost got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here. Hey, it's cool guys.
Có nửa chiếc xe. Có nửa chiếc xe.
So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
Jimmy Fallon filmed that scene on the street. We're going to be traveling down here in just a moment. Television shows that have used our Metro sets. American Ninja Warrior was here a few months ago. They built
Đó, thành phố giả dối nhất hành tinh. Thành phố nó chỉ có mặt tiền thôi, chứ không có bên trong.
Rutherford Falls starring Ed Helms. Ed Helms who played Andy Bernard in The Office. His new show films in our Metro sets.
Nó cũng bên trong chút nhỏ nhỏ đó. Nhưng mà ở trong toàn là gỗ mà chứ không có nội thất gì hết trơn. Cái kiểu mà để nó đánh đèn ra từ phía trong ra để dạ cảnh buổi tối buổi sáng.
Known as Courthouse Square, you know it as Hill Valley from Back to the Future. The Academy working on the state. Over there, still on your right-hand side. See those sets upstairs? That's Brownstone Street. The Brownstones there give the area its name. You may recognize the front of that from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. It's where Kevin McAllister led the Wet Bandits into his aunt and uncle's place that was having construction done on it, so he could wreak havoc.
Cái này mà mình có tiền mình có thể thuê được nha. Ở trong đây á, mình có tiền mình có thể thuê được nguyên cái khu này luôn để mình phim mình. Mà mình không đủ tiền thôi. Chỗ này cho thuê luôn ha. Thuê buổi phim. Thuê đây làm gì trời? Sống ảo hả? Meaning they have a larger interior room or rooms, and filmmakers can film on the inside and outside, much more convenient for them. They can stay in one space, seamlessly move in and out. They don't have to drag all that equipment to a soundstage and build all new sets. So typically, when we only need to use a small set, we don't need a whole soundstage. For example, trưng bày đồ lên.
Now let's see. Macaulay Culkin's Kevin McAllister running down the street. We were just establishing that was the front of the apartment.
Con số 183 tốt cho mình.
That place was like 2 or 3 levels high, and all of these things were going on. It had multiple rooms. We built all of that inside.
Nhìn trên phim thì thấy thật, nhưng mà nhìn đây thì thấy nó cũng
gọi là giả chân. Nhưng mà lên máy là đâu biết đâu.
Lên máy là có người dân này kia nọ.
Đúng rồi.
Now another way we're able to turn this area into any big city we want in the world, such as London in the 1800s, starring London in the 1800s for Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder. Take a look at the number one substance most of them look like they're made out of is brick and stone. You got some wood up there. Well, it's actually not brick, stone, and wood at all. Those are sheets of a fiberglass compound, barely a quarter of an inch thick, that we can remove and put new ones up. We can press out new fronts to these structures here whenever we want, right down the street there, to change the exterior and how we need it. Passage of time, a very big thing. So let's say it's a brand new building back in the 1800s. Okay, great, the brick looks good. You know, there's woods on there, it's all bright and shiny.
Cái người mà nói được 45 phút gần 1 tiếng đồng hồ liên tục cũng phê. Cái bình này giống như cái ống nó dài rồi, giống như uống rượu cần á. Uống rượu cần ở Việt Nam á.
Switch over as quickly as possible. Speaking of switching over as quickly as possible, we're about to switch over from the concrete jungle of the big city and head on off to the prehistoric jungle of Skull Island. home to the legendary 8th wonder of the world, King Kong. We're going to be heading indoors, so I'm going to ask everyone to temporarily please don your masks as I introduce Mr. Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct.
Tới cô phim King Kong.
Saw that movie on TV when I was about.
Xe này có hai người lái, một người nói, một người lái.
I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you on an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters,
đeo kiến vô nha.
creatures from prehistoric times.
Làm gần khói kìa. Khói nó xả vậy mới là khói chứ.
So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island. And it's great to have you along the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island. The Universal tram is winding its way through a very rough, narrow trail in Skull Island, allowing the visitors a little sneak peek at some of the wildlife of Skull Island. In a sense, this is like a mini sequel, a mini continuation. We're just taking the Kong and Skull Island and the dinosaurs that we established in our feature film. And this is another incident on Skull Island, using the creatures and the character and personality of Kong as he appeared in the movie.
In just a moment, we will be returning to Skull Island.
Sáng cho mèo ăn xong cái quên hết.
Má mua sẵn ba pin, mua sẵn pin này nọ quá trời.
Skull Island, remain in your seats. Hang on your belongings. As we are now returning to Skull Island.
Intro film. Mảnh đất này đã qua 100 năm không có ai sinh sống. Đang làm tiếng phim đó. Here we go.
Okay, glasses on, everybody. We're back on Skull Island.
Everybody, đeo kiến chưa? Đó là hay lắc lắc lắc. Vậy nó mới giống hàng thật sao vô hang động của King Kong. Thật là cái xe nó không còn chạy nha các bạn. Cái xe nó để N đó. Cái màn hình ha. Nghĩa là hai bên chỉ là cái màn hình thôi. Nó lệch lệch đó. chỉ là cái màn hình thôi, cái screen thôi. Rồi khi mình ngồi trên cái xe mình đó, nó đứng im chỗ mà lắc vậy thôi. Chứ còn phía hai bên là màn hình.
This epic battle was created using some of the most advanced filmmaking technology today and projected on some of the largest 3D screens in the world. Standing at 40 feet high and 180 feet long, they are definitely big enough for the mighty.
With a project like a studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side. Working on a movie, there always no
nó đang kể về cái quy trình làm cái phim.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions. Also, one of the things about this wide variety of movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away. Actually about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of
15 phút khi là phim 15 phút là lại. Nó đã 15 phút rồi. Chưa tới nữa, không. 3 phút.
Everyone noticed that our tram made an appearance on the screen during our experience with Kong. The moment that happened, our tram became what is known as a picture car. A picture car is any car or vehicle, whether it is driven or not, that appears on the screen in the film or project. Don't worry, she's going to be fun. Now, sometimes those vehicles, they can become as famous as the actors who drive them. You've got some examples on your screen here, including this one coming up on your screen, arguably the most iconic car in all film history, right there. The DeLorean from Back to the Future. As well as a few more examples which will be appearing on your left-hand side. I'm going to remind everyone to please remain seated as we go through these next sections. But again, take all the pictures and videos you want. As the first picture car to appear is Kid Cobra, used in the rebooted Knight Rider the TV series. Next to it is the Ferrari that Tom Selleck drove during Magnum P.I., which is not actually a Ferrari. It's a dune buggy with a VW engine on the top. It just even look like a Ferrari on screen. My favorite vehicles, the ones from Back to the Future here, but fan favorites, young and old alike, the Flintstone mobiles. And a collection here at Universal, of course, would not be complete without some of the fleet from the Fast and the Furious. We also have some select vehicles here from the Jurassic Park series, the Gyrosphere from Jurassic World, and the classic Jurassic Park Jeep Wrangler. Now you may notice something's missing from that Gyrosphere that was part of it in the film. The big bubble, that's exactly right. Well, that big glass bubble didn't actually exist. One, it would be very difficult to remove the reflections of the director and the crew from it. But two, we also don't want to suffocate our actors. It would have been very difficult for them to breathe. So we just added it into the film through the process known as CGI, computer-generated images. Some of the special effects that made this Jurassic Park series one of the biggest film franchises of all time. Jurassic World Dominion will be the next film in that series. We've had some stop and go with production. Guess what, folks? All the hard work's paid off. We have a release date for the film. June 10th, 2022, Jurassic World Dominion will hit the big screen, and in celebration of this news, let's set the mood with a little music here. Because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jurassic Park.
Rồi tới cái khu công viên khủng long.
Coming up on your left-hand side, you're going to see the Camo Mobile Lab from the Lost World Jurassic Park. Fun fact about the Mobile Lab: it's made almost entirely of wood.
Là cái lab của trong phim đó. Cái xe mà nghiên cứu Mobile Lab.
Here's the telltale sign. Look at the back. You'll see where the paint and the wood have started to warp and chip away, exposing the material that it's really made out of as it sits out here in the elements. The Mobile Lab also gave me something to distract all of you with, as four of my friends from the series pop out to say, look, they're just excited.
Khủng long không nước miếng rồi, không nước miếng. Thunder, lightning, rain. There is always a giant storm that manages to drop into the most intense part of every Jurassic Park film, just like it did here in this clip from the Lost World Jurassic Park. And there is that mobile lab on your screen that we just passed a moment ago. Now, I want you to take a look at your screens. I paused it here on purpose. So you see the mobile lab hanging off of the cliff? I want to point out the cliff. That's not actually a cliff at all.
That is the parking structure right next to Soundstage 21 in our front lot. We passed it earlier. It's the one with the base camp for Saved by the Bell right in front of it. So what they did is they went and they dressed that parking structure with greenery and other substances to make it look like a cliff. And then they took our wooden lab along with a giant crane to the roof. It's one of the reasons why they made it wood, is because to build it with metal would make it much, much heavier and more dangerous to deal with. They needed to dangle it off the side or off the top of the roof. So they hooked it up to the crane, tipped it over the side, and then they dealt with the weather. Yeah. Now you see how the weather adds to the intensity and the mood and what's going on in this scene. Why it plays such an important role. Now folks see something like this and they say, well, wait a second, you can't control the weather, so how did you do all that? I say, well, yes, we can. We're about to show you how. As we roll into Old Mexico,
nó control the weather nè, lũ lụt hay này nọ.
Just one of the ways we're able to add weather to film the television.
Tới cái làng của Mễ, Mexico.
It is, I see him up there through the trees. My man, Steve. What's going on, Steve? Good to see you, buddy. Steve has worked in his back lot for years. He does all kinds of things.
Phim kiểu cà bồi ha.
Đó, phim Mễ, phim Mễ nè. Sấm sét nè. Đây đó là sấm sét nè. Sét không?
Shooting in the air as it falls to earth, it will break apart naturally to low-lying rain. That way we can turn the weather on or off.
Sấm sét như là đó, mưa. Như thì muốn mưa là mưa. Nhưng thật ra nó từ cái dòi đó thôi. Cái mưa đã ha. Sấm sét không?
Star Trek fans will be excited to know that Old Mexico here was used in the series Star Trek Picard starring Patrick Stewart. This was part of a Romulan refugee site in that series. That's exactly right. Attention everyone in the city of Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our flash flood simulation where I'm sure you're all kind of thinking the same things I am. One is, I felt pretty good, it's coming up. And then two, man, you people waste a lot of water. We don't. So that's the house recycled water. It's not being pumped back up the hill to a giant tank to await the next trail. All right, take one last look at Old Mexico here, where Jack Black spent some time filming his comedy Nacho Libre because we're crossing the border out of Old Mexico and into the Old West. We are now entering the area known as Six Points, Texas. These are some of the oldest sets in our backlot, some of them dating all the way back to the silent film era. Some of the most famous cowboys have boats on the streets, Kirk Douglas, Clint Eastwood, the Duke himself, John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart. However, many of them may recognize
mấy cái này là nhà thiệt ha, trong nó cũng có nội thất. Nó cũng có không gian. Nó cũng có không gian chứ không phải là như cái nhà kia là nó có chiếu cái phim đang quay hồi xưa.
Now this area, just like our metro sets and other areas around the lot, is made up of facades and practicals. You can get a close-up look here. Some of these windows don't have curtains in them where you can see through them, and some of the doors are open. You can see the facades right through there. And some of them have the larger interior rooms. Women, small doorways for the men. Smaller doorways made the cowboys look bigger. Ron Artell and more imposing. So the larger doorways made all of our names look petite and demure. Our tour is now approximately at the halfway mark, so I just want to remind everybody to stay seated during the entire tour. This tour with private property. Anytime during the tour, the private property is going to be used. Hold the cord to remain seated. To get my attention, but remain seated at all times. Now, over on your left-hand side, you're going to see some more sound stages, 24 through 27. 24 and 25, that is where we now film The Voice. And one of the coaches on the show, Kelly Clarkson, she films another show here in our lot, The Kelly Clarkson Show. She's got 2 shows in one lot, one of the hardest working people in the business. Now, those sound stages are on the opposite side of Park Lake. And Park Lake is the lagoon, where the creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed. One of our Universal monsters added to the roster in 1954. That roster consisting of what I like to call the OGs, the original ghouls, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, our Universal Monsters, celebrating their 90th anniversary this year. The first two films coming out in 1931, and all of the films filmed in the area we're headed next. Some more of the oldest sets in our backlot, the area known as Little Europe. This is where we filmed all of our Universal Monster movies. However, as we make the turn, you can see it's not so scary. And fans of The Good Place are going to realize that Little Europe is a good place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are
Oh,
dead.
it's a good place.
The afterlife? Come on. I've never ever seen this.
quay đây.
You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Thành phố đẹp quá, dễ thương.
Dễ thương ghê, nó vintage ha.
Is the bad place like?
That doesn't sound awesome.
Ở dặn NBC.
And as we round the corner here, we're going to pass the railway station and we'll take you to the good, the bad, and the
Thầy nguyên một cái khu phố luôn để nó làm một cái series phim.
The area over here on your right-hand side, where the vehicles are parked, the area known as Court of Miracles. This was the first portion of Little Europe to be built, and we would film The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Later on, the rest of Little Europe would be built up around it,
Nhìn nó
and we
phát
would
đó hả?
film
Nhìn nó châu
our
Âu quá.
Universal Monster movies. Anytime you
Châu
saw
Âu,
any
châu Âu.
villagers marching through the streets,
Ý.
carrying their
Châu Âu là
pitchforks
Little
and
Europe.
torches, chasing down whatever creature was in the feature at the time it was done through. Court of Miracles in the streets of Little Europe. Our Universal Monster movies are so important, not just to us here at Universal. They're important to us here for many reasons. The big reason was our Universal Monster movies in conjunction with our Westerns, which more Westerns have been done here in 6 Points in our lot than anywhere else in the world. We've done more Westerns here than any other type of picture, is because those Westerns, along with our Universal Monster movies, helped keep Universal afloat during the Great Depression. While other studios were going bankrupt or trying to stave off bankruptcy, they were selling off their land and collecting that money and saving and trying to just ride this out. Well, Carl Laemmle decided to do something very, very different. He decided to go in the opposite direction. He decided to keep his land and rent it out to those other studios, allowing them to continue their productions. And he would take a portion of the money he would get from that rentals and invest it in the Universal Monster movies. Dracula, followed by Frankenstein, helped keep us afloat during the Great Depression. And they became so popular even during that financially distracted time that they ended up creating an entirely new subcategory of film known as horror. So, there would be no Michael Myers, there would be no Jason Voorhees, no Freddy Krueger, no Chucky, no Pinhead, no Leatherface, etc. without the way paid by your Universal Monsters, all filmed right here in Little Europe. They also hold another distinction. I know for the past 10, 12 years now, the big thing has been the shared cinematic universe. I'm sure everybody here, or most people here, are fans of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm a huge comic book geek. I love seeing these multiple characters crossing over into each other's films, all part of one big universe, just like they do in the comic books, them coming to life. And they've done an excellent job, probably the best job I've ever seen. However, do not fool yourself into thinking that they were the ones that came up with the idea of doing something like this. Nope. First ones to do it, Universal Monsters, right here in Little Europe and at Universal Studios. The first film, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, in 1943, was such a success, Universal said, okay, what other things can we cross over? So let's take our funniest characters we have in the lot, Abbott and Costello, and put them together with the scariest ones we had. So you had Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, where they would run into Dracula, the Mummy, and the Wolfman, or Frankenstein and the Wolfman, all in the same film. And then they would go on to meet the Mummy and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Shared cinematic universe began right here at Universal Studios, specifically in Little Europe. Now, the reason we call this area Little Europe is because we have the ability to turn it into any European town we want. Now, the process to do that is a bit complicated, but I'm going to try to explain it as simply as possible. First, we change the language on all of the signs and in the windows. And that, well, that's pretty much it. Like, we really don't have to do anything else. If it takes place in Italy, we put Italian. If it takes place in Germany, we put German. If it takes place in Spain, we put Spanish. You see where I'm going with this? We put French all over the area. When the area was turned into Paris, and two of my favorite celebrities of all time were filming here. Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. For the Muppets, starring Jason Segel and Amy Adams. It was the great scene where the gang goes to Paris to retrieve Miss Piggy to save the Muppet Theater again. And Kermit and Miss Piggy are walking, and cuts that Kermit and Miss Piggy walking down the street, and he's wearing the turtleneck. The black. I'm sorry. It's just Kermit wearing a turtleneck was hilarious. Now, I'm going to keep with the horror theme here. We're going to take a quick poll, and I've been very disappointed this whole week. I get like no hands raised. It just makes me feel older than I really am. Any Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans out there? Yeah. Yep, there we go. Oh, thank you, sir. Right here in the front row. I saw you back there in car 4. Little Europe is the birthplace of Angel. This is where Angel was sired in that episode. And any time you saw an episode with Angel or Spike or Drusilla that took place in 1700s, 1800s Europe, it was filmed here in Little Europe. And to brighten things up a little bit, let's see, we'll probably get more hands for this. Any Princess Diary and Princess Diary 2 fans? Gentlemen, right here, yes, absolutely. Guess what? Princess Diary 2, welcome. We just passed through the fictional country of Genovia. Yes, there was the scene where the parade happened. She found the little girl and went off to the side and then brought her into, that all happened right there.
Vô một cái 3D nữa.
And speaking of it,
no, này không có 3D.
Folks, we've finally been given the green light. We've been just waiting to get permission to do this. I'm going to ask everyone to please put their masks on again temporarily.
Cái stage
We're about to head inside. Why? Because we have been given permission to come inside Soundstage 50. So you can get a first-hand look as to what it appears like on the inside of a soundstage while it's being used for a production. Now you can see the soundstage here. It's big enough to hold an entire tram. That's pretty big. And this one has been dressed to look like a subway station in San Francisco. So we would use a facade for the entryway to the subway, and then cut to the interior like this. This is what we refer to as a hot set. A hot set is any set that's being dressed or is dressed ready for film. You're not allowed to touch anything. So please remain in your seats. Now you should be getting it on as it is. But feel free to take as many pictures and videos as you want. I highly recommend that you do, because this is absolutely stunning and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now, okay, folks, this is California. We take the turtle The main scene, there's nothing to worry about here. Except the fact that the ceiling just collapsed in front of you. I'm sure this information by a contractor. It's not actually built with gas. And clearly I
như là một cái studio xếp lại, nó xếp một cái set phim như vậy á, nó làm mọi thứ giống giống. Tại vì các bạn không thể nào làm ngoài đường hay là thuê một, ở bên Mỹ nó không có chỗ để làm, thì bắt buộc mình phải thuê những cái studio nó có đầy đủ thiết bị và cái sound rút cũng như là cách âm này nọ, nó có đầy đủ những hết, và nó riêng, đặc biệt là riêng tư nữa. Các bạn đi vô thuê chống rỗng mà muốn build gì build.
in Universal Studios Hollywood, we are the one-stop shop for all of your filmmaking needs. It has been said that once you arrive in the lot, you never have to leave the lot to do so. Because as you've seen, we have been in the world without actually having to go to those places. We've been to Mexico, we've been through the Old West, through Europe, into San Francisco.
Có ông già ngồi ho ho vào cái hình y chang. Cái hình mà đi kiếm 4.000 đô y chang. Tới cái khu biển cấm.
Cho nè, cái cho kìa. Đây, đây, đây. À, vậy là cái này chung trong một tour nè.
Không, không, khác, cho nó khác. Này nó cũng cho nhưng mà không phải một cái tour. Ủa mình chạy mình đi xuống lòng biển trên rồi vậy mình xong luôn.
Wait a second, that's Steve. What is Steve? Seats as we arrive at single spot, which I'm being told is only 30 feet down the stack. While all these large barrels.
Trời ơi, đừng có phun nước nữa nha trời.
Sure.
Đó, đó. Phun nước hoài. Wow. Siêu nóng luôn.
Tại vì lửa thiệt mà.
Baby shark.
Hey shark! Back up! There it goes!
Shark, back up!
Back up!
Pretty much all the time.
Back up cái gì rồi, chú ve lại đó.
Never got a chance to test the shark in the open water before production began. And on the very first day of filming, Mr. Spielberg put his shark into the ocean. He yelled action, and the shark immediately sank to the bottom of the Atlantic.
Nghĩa là mỗi lần quay xong một cái shot đó nó phải back up lại để coi có quay tiếp hay không quay được quay tiếp.
The shark was frustrated. It didn't really work all the time. It didn't work hardly at all. Wherever you were, you could hear the radio beats. They were always saying, "The shark is not working." Repeat, "The shark is not working." We just waited around. We just waited and waited. The shark worked well enough for a while there.
Nghĩa là cái phim đó nó kể là trong lúc quay phim nó có nhiều lần nó không có working.
And there is Mr. Spielberg, the shark. He lovingly named Bruce after his lawyer. Now, Mr. Spielberg believed he'd never work in this town again after filming Jaws. The film was delayed by almost 6 months in its release, and he had tripled the budget. However, as we all know, it went on to be one of the biggest hits of all time. The very first summer blockbuster ever. Now, coming up on your right-hand side, you're going to see this beautiful white home here. That house is the Chicken Ranch from the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring the global treasure that is Dolly Parton. Rob Zombie used it as well for his cult classic House of 1,000 Corpses. That was the Firefly house there. And it is right next to one of our most famous and most used streets in the lot. Coming up here on your left-hand side, Colonial Street, which is currently being used for a production. Now, Colonial Street, most folks recognize as Wisteria Lane, home to everyone's favorite Desperate Housewives. But it's been used in so many productions before and after that series. So as we make our way up Wilderness Road here to our next destination, let's take a look at a few more productions that were done on Colonial.
Colonial Street. Ở xưa mình qua Mỹ mình cũng tưởng nhà thì giống vậy thôi. Đúng không? Đường xá vậy kiểu Mỹ ở Mỹ vậy mà no no cái vụ qua là oh no đây ai cũng nghĩ là Mỹ nó sẽ giống như những cái trong phim như vậy hay giống như cái cảnh nãy mình coi nha.
In just a moment, we're going to make a left-hand turn, and you're going to see some more picture cars appear on your right-hand side. such as the Yellow Juice Coupe from American Graffiti, directed by George Lucas. Yes, kids, the same George Lucas that came up with Star Wars. This was the film he did before Star Wars. And some select vehicles from Fast 9, which again is in theaters now. We get these picture cars for our productions from all kinds of places. Classic car lots, new car lots, used car lots. In fact, there's a car lot in North Hollywood that became somewhat famous when it was featured in one of our films. It's still in operation today.
Dưới ai đi Nga cũng thấy chào á. Nghĩa là tại vì cái xe. Oh
She took that vehicle to continue her trip across the desert to begin her new life and leave her old one behind.
Đó,
She got out there, she pulled over to a roadside motel, not knowing it would be her last night on Earth. Because that motel was the Bates Motel home to Norma and Norman Bates in the setting to Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And those folks are digging for bodies there. They're getting set up for Halloween Horror Nights, which will give you the opportunity to walk by and through these sets here. Right past the Bates Motel, the infamous film
nó đang cái khu này là cái khu nhà kinh dị mà nó đang thi công cái Halloween Fest dành cho tháng 10, cuối tháng 10 nên đâm ra giờ nó đang xây dựng từ bây giờ luôn á. Hôm nay là mới tháng 8 đúng không? Còn 2 tháng nữa là cái công trình này nó sẽ trong 2 tháng nữa. Em nhà biết cái phim kinh dị này, rất kinh điển.
They're probably watching me. I'll let them see what kind of a person I am.
And as we make our way around to the back of the Bates Mansion, we find ourselves rolling in what I believe to be the most impressive set in our back lot. The crash site from War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg. The most frequently asked question about this particular set is that an actual 747? The answer is yes. It is a decommissioned 747 that was acquired out of the airplane graveyard in the Mojave Desert for the bargain price of $60,000. However, the shipping and handling to get it here was $200,000. Had to bring it here in 4 separate pieces.
The airplane crash is a perfect example.
Máy bay thiệt luôn á, lấy chiếc máy bay xuống luôn mà.
Again, to sit down to talk about the world. That thought 747 goes down right in a pretty neighborhood because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Listen to me. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Got them closed?
VIP mở mắt đi bộ thì mình được đi xe.
Đâu nó có xe riêng nó chở tới từng khu nè, thấy không? Đó, VIP nữa không? Thấy VIP không? VIP đó.
It took the crew 3 months to build this set. Took them 3 days to film the scene. Ready to spend an entire.
Khi mà mua vé VIP này, mấy cái stick này nếu mà không, rất là trang hàng VIP là khác nữa. Mấy cái stick này thì mình có thể được vô coi nó đang phim mình đang tapping trong đó luôn. Chỉ có VIP mới được.
You're going to see the top of the big blue backdrop at the back of the area of our lot known as Falls Lake. The backdrop was originally built as the largest freestanding backdrop in the world. It was originally built for the 1987 film Jaws the Revenge. In front of the backdrop, all of the construction happening right now is the area of Falls Lake. Falls Lake is a man-made lake that Universal built in the 50s. We have complete control over this environment. We can empty and fill the lake at will. It takes us 3 days to fill it. And it was the site of another airplane crash, but this one with a much happier ending.
Đâu, mắt nó muốn trôi thì mắt bộ.
Sully, starring Tom Hanks.
Anh lấy Google coi cái VIP.
Evacuate. Now keep in mind, everything you're seeing in the clip, not one piece of it was filmed in New York. All filmed right out there at Falls Lake. So the plane is real, the water is real, the people are real, but that New York, New Jersey skyline, that's what the big blue backdrop is for. So you can pause that right there. Look at that. See all those buildings? They're not there. We just superimpose that with, once again, CGI. Sorry, what? You got a call from
cái màn hình xanh kìa, màn hình xanh.
I'm an agent Hobbs, really? He wants us to go where?
Green. Blue green. Blue green.
Folks, I'm going to ask everyone to please put their masks on again temporarily. Apparently our drivers got a call from an agent Hobbs, who was redirecting our tour off of the regular route and into the Sullivan truck repair.
Không xanh nhỏ nhỏ nó bự quá trời bự.
Where nothing shady or sketchy appears.
Oh, factory. Vô cái xưởng. Để kiến vô nè.
My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you.
Ê, không còn yêu kiến.
Buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you in Shaw for a while, so we brought you in our secret spot.
All right, look, guys, we're gonna keep Shaw from finding you, but to keep you safe, we need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us, so put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone can give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay.
Nó không flash thôi, chụp hình nó flash lên.
Does anyone else hear that music? Kind of sounds like there's a party going on. They did say they had some friends over there. It seems weird considering what they told us. But I guess there is a party going on. Oh, this just got up right up.
TV màn hình nó chiếu 3D không cảm biến luôn. Và cho nó dùng công nghệ hologram, có nghĩa là nó có một màn hình ở giữa, cái màn hình ở giữa cái nhà thiệt.
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move. That's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. I got you. It's lightweight. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. Cop, I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours.
Escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.
You got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back.
Man.
It was on vibrate. Shaw traced us. Ops can't hold him forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real interesting. Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door.
Mà ở giữa cái đó nó có một cái màn hình.
Roman, roll your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
Alright, folks, looks like we're rolling out. So once again, I want to remind everyone to please remain in your seats, hang on to your belongings, turn the flashes off on your cameras, as Lenny has instructed us to do. And, yeah, that might be a good time to throw us through the safety glass. Only as a precaution, I'm sure we're going to be fine, because that could be safer than hiding out what appears to be an abandoned parking garage. Oh yeah, this is safe.
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now or you all get fried!
This is our turn. Okay, guys, it's showtime. Cover the left. Let's make it move fast enough. Letty, hook him up. Now we're moving.
You give me the witness to run up and call it a day! The witness is mine, Letty!
How about you eat asphalt?
Don't think you're getting away! Come in there!
Way to go, Letty. Not gonna happen. Don't worry, I got this. Lisa got messed up a little bit, but it's all good. We got through it. Y'all handled us down. Appreciate it. They say the bigger the family, the stronger it is.
Phun nước hoài.
Uống mà. Đã quá ha.
Đã đẹp.
Cảm thấy đua xe đã ha. Chứ về lái cũng vậy không? Vậy là hết rồi đó.
Folks, this is going to bring us to the end of our tour. I would like to thank all of you for spending this afternoon with us. We're going to be heading on back into the unload area, and I'll be off to the left-hand side to answer any questions that you may have. And as you're making your way back inside the park, here's a little insider tip. Why don't you go ahead and download the Universal Studios Hollywood app? It is free. That way you can stay up to the minute on wait times, show times, and park hours. For example, to see when the next showing of Waterworld, a live Seymour Spectacular, will be, and to see that the park will remain open tonight until 6 p.m. And if you would like to purchase any of the NBC Universal TV shows or movies you saw or heard on the tour, you can go to www.uthe.com or ask at any of our retail stores today. And with all of that being said, on behalf of myself, Ryan, and everyone here at NBC Universal, we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here at Universal Studios Hollywood, the entertainment capital of LA. My name is Patrick, saying be smart, stay safe, stand strong, be kind and considerate to each other. And I promise you, we will all get through this together. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Left side. Left side. Thế là kết thúc một cái tour Universal Tour